Informative, educational, objective, inclusive, comprehensive. This is Progress Report. Updates and conversations from the Government Information Service.
Good day and welcome to another episode of Progress Report. My name is Ivan Khanna, my lovely co-host Gleneva Hodge. We missed you guys last week. We were to have a live taping of Progress Report to cover specifically GST with a panel from the Inland Revenue Department and the Ministry of Finance, and they have been swamped to say the least. They had a series of meetings addressing some stuff with the business community and otherwise preparing for the rollout of GST. But that is still coming. We are hopeful to bring that to you this week. We'll see how that goes. If not, it'll be definitely next week. By Tuesday, we can get the panel there to talk about GST from the consumer side, from the business side, what to expect. This stuff is brand new for all of us. We'll get there. But every time I'm going to mention this, I knock because it's hurricane season. And because it's hurricane season, we have with us Miss Susan Hodge from... So you work for the Department of Disaster?
I work for the Department of Disaster Management.
Disaster Management.
Yes, that's right.
And then where does NICO... what's the acronym? You tell me. This is how much the general public would know about disaster and where we're at with disaster.
The NEOC.
The NEOC.
Yes.
That sounds like a little Spanish. The NEOC. I'm just saying.
It just spells out the initials that it stands
NEOC.
for. The National Emergency Operations Center.
The National Emergency Operations Center. We're going to get into that because I remember when Hurricane Irma happened, I was like, man, we need to communicate some stuff. And you remember I came up there, I was like, hey, how can I help? And then I got a chair.
Yes.
Literally got a chair. We just started communicating
exactly
updates
right.
and all that type of stuff. But I know that you have some...
So you were upstairs and I was downstairs.
I think so. Because I've learned that she has a part to play. So Gleneva been holding all her secrets from me.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to put her on blast right now. She's been holding all her secrets from me.
But sometimes it's good to have secrets.
Excuse me? How does that work?
Because
You know, I
people
never
ask
win an
you
argument in this room when there's another woman in that scene.
Well, how do you expect that to happen?
You know what? I rest my case. I rest my case. We're going to talk about hurricane season. We're going to talk about disaster. We're going to talk about Anguilla's preparedness. What else are we going to talk about today?
I think that just about covers
That's
it.
what covers it?
What do we need to prepare in the case of disasters? Because, like Susan said, she's from disaster management,
Right.
Ivan, not disaster. So it's how do we manage the
Disaster.
disasters that
Well, how we
occur.
manage the hazards so that they don't become disasters.
The hazards. So, like, the place shaking recently. So, earthquakes on that list?
Of course.
I'm after...
Earthquakes are our number 5 hazard.
The fifth hazard.
Out of the top 15 in Anguilla, earthquakes are
I
number
bet
5.
I can guess what's number 1.
What is number 1?
People using the roundabout. I guess that's number 1.
Actually,
Is it
no.
true?
It's hurricane.
It's hurricanes.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with
Good.
hurricanes.
So, Susan, we felt it so important that we have someone in here from disaster management. I believe we spoke prior with Dr. Banks' definition. We were speaking about PTSD and the number of folks
Still
that
suffering.
still suffer with PTSD post Hurricane Irma. So you sort of alluded to it. We know that there is a list of the top 15 hazards that Anguilla face. We know that hurricanes are number 1.
Yes.
When was this list compiled? What is on this list? And can we anticipate a change in this list if it needs updating?
Okay, this list was compiled in 2015 when Anguilla went through an emergency management accreditation program. That's a US-based accreditation system, but it was offered to all of the overseas territories, and we actually went through the process. And we came up with something called a HIRA, which is a hazard identification and risk assessment for the country.
That sounds like a body part.
It's not. So we came up with the top 15 hazards that would affect Anguilla. And hurricane is number one because we have to be realistic. For 6 months out of every year, there's likelihood of us being impacted by a hurricane. It's very real. We have even had hurricanes that hit us in January.
So was that Claus?
Alice.
So when did Claus hit?
There was a hurricane named Klaus.
Yes, Klaus.
Klaus?
Okay.
I actually have a list of the hurricanes here.
Okay.
Klaus was in 1984.
Say what?
Yeah.
1984.
I was
94.
94?
1984.
Oh, okay, that was before my time.
What time in 1984?
The 7th of November.
7th of November.
okay.
That
And it was a
year.
Category 1.
Okay.
Category 1? Mm-hmm. Well, not too bad.
Okay.
Not too bad.
No, so-
tropical storms and
Listen.
people often think that, Category 1 is not going to be bad. Tropical storms can cause as much damage as a level, as a Category 5.
I understand, but you have to understand. I passed through Louis, I passed through Lenny, I passed through Gonzalo, I passed through
I think
Irma.
all of us did.
Yeah, so you telling me a Category 1, I stand up outside.
And that is one of the issues that I have when I'm trying to talk to people about preparedness.
Well,
But
that's the reality of it.
Yeah, but but that's not the reality. After Hurricane Irma, when we went round and we went to the communities talking about preparedness and getting ready for the next season, we went through a Category 5, we don't have to worry. But you do. You went through a Category 5. When you went through the Category 5, if your home wasn't damaged, did you get your home checked? Did you check that the roof was okay? Did you check that the structure is still stable and can then again withstand another hurricane? Because if you went through Category 5 Irma and you were fine, does that mean that a tropical storm could topple your house this time?
So what does that mean for all the people that say Anguillans build the best in the Caribbean?
It means that you need to check your house.
And I am telling you need to check your house. You see how you get the point across?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
All
what
right,
it
you
means.
need to check your house.
Yes.
So, Ivan kind of strayed a little bit.
Yeah.
This is what he does.
Yes,
But-
perfectly so.
We kind of segued a little bit. We'll go back to that list. Check your house. What else do people need to do to prepare for hurricane? We are in hurricane season. Hurricane
Right.
season has started. What would you recommend persons do to be prepared?
Definitely know the hazards that you have. I mean, hurricane season. Hurricane is the number one hazard. Fine. Check our bulletins that we send out. When I say we, I mean the Department of Disaster Management. I have seen in some chats that I'm a part of, anything that comes off the coast of Africa, they're reporting on. We have taken a decision within the department that when you hear something from us, that means that it might impact Anguilla.
Okay.
We don't want to saturate everything that comes off, and people, by the time we have to give you some important
Yeah,
overload
overload
that it's like it's not from the department, or it's from the department, or they're just saying it again. So we have made the conscious decision that once it's likely to impact Anguilla, then we will send out a bulletin of news. So once you hear something from us, you need to get ready. And one of the other things I would definitely tell you, have your family or household disaster plan and have your emergency supplies kit.
So do you have a sample disaster plan that you can share?
Yeah, disaster plan. You
have your family disaster plan.
Right, so you have to gather all your family together. You sit down from the smallest to the eldest, and you talk about the hazards. You talk about how you're going to get in and out of the house. If you have to evacuate, what you're going to do. You have your little backpack for everybody. All of the things that you want, your toothbrush, toothpaste, things that make you comfortable, your Kindle or your favorite book, a teddy bear for a child, their favorite game, anything like that. You put it in their backpack. Each of you can have a backpack, or you can have one backpack maybe the mother or the father would carry, or whoever is in the household can carry on their behalf.
Travel documents.
Travel documents, put them in a Ziploc bag, in another Ziploc bag, in another Ziploc bag to make sure that that they are watertight. You put them away, you make sure that you know where they are.
So I am going to make very light of this situation because
Don't make light of it because it's a very serious situation.
That's why I'm trying to make light of it so people can understand when I get serious about this, because I plan to get serious. And like I kind of been told like we've been heavy on the serious side and people are a little, on edge about certain things right now. But this should not be played with. Like
No.
This should not be played with. I'm making my little jokes now, but this should not be played with, because the sweating is when you are in the heat of that moment. You need to be able to have
and
your
you're trying to remember, where is my land paper? Where's my passport? What about this? Where's my medication? All of that. You try, and I know that it's going to be difficult to get extra medication now, but don't ever let it get down to that last week.
Yeah.
Try and have at least 2 weeks leeway for your medication.
Something as simple as paracetamol or first aid kit,
Yeah.
People don't
Definitely,
even
everybody
have that
should
in
have
the
a
homes.
first aid kit.
You would imagine people don't have that in the homes.
But why?
I don't know.
So nobody cuts their finger,
don't
nobody
have all
falls,
the answers.
nobody falls over, nobody gets a little dig somewhere that they need a plaster.
Is it that they don't have a dedicated kit? But I know the plasters are held here. There may be some rubber and alcohol there. There may be...
Something happens to you and somebody has to come into your house. How would they know where your plasters are?
Yes.
If you have it in a first aid kit and it's labeled, it's easy for somebody to help you
Yeah.
and find it.
So
That's true.
that speaks to the level of preparedness.
Yeah.
And
So-
where we need to be.
So this is what I'm getting at. Like, nobody looks at preparedness from this level. We shouldn't be waiting for hurricane season to be prepared.
No, you should always have your first aid kit. You should always have your emergency supplies kit, because the little tremors that we've been having lately,
Why would you go there?
because I need to go there. It's my job. When I go into a place, I look around and I see if they have things up on the wall high. Are they secured on the wall, on the shelf? Those are the things. At home, we put our crystal up on that top shelf
Yeah, 'cause we
because the
wanna show
lights.
off.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the light hits it.
and
But
it
do we
glistens.
have any double-sided tape under that will keep it secure if there is a earthquake and it falls? Because suppose you're standing right next to the shelf.
Ivan, you got crystal in your house?
My mother got a ton of them things, but
That's where I wanted to go with that. Because as a child who cleaned crystal, I listened to this and I get flashbacks, PTSD, because you had to clean the crystal over the summer.
Don't talk about the China cabinet.
No,
We
so
know
in
that.
my house I don't have those.
But do you have that? Is a china cabinet secured?
Of course not. Who does that?
All of those things. We live in an earthquake zone.
I don't think people understand that.
There is the Caribbean and the North American plates are constantly shifting. We have the Puerto Rico Trench, which is the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, just over there. And Puerto Rico has been having a lot of earthquakes. We are having earthquakes. I can remember the one that we had I didn't feel the one on Saturday, but
Oh, yeah?
I didn't.
I guess
Listen,
I was walking or
The
something.
bed jumped so hard, right? I said, Father?
I mean, the one
Listen.
before that, I was sleeping in it.
You don't want to know the one before that. I was in a very compromising position.
Oh, and you thought you made the earth shake.
Ivan, that was all.
It was all in my... I was like, whoa. And I was like,
So. We're going to leave Ivan with that
Yeah,
right
I think
across
so.
there. Let's get back to this list. So hurricanes are number one. Mm-hmm. What is number two?
Number 2 is water shortage or drought.
Oh boy, I did not see that coming. I should have, but I walked myself right into that one.
Anguilla is, as we know, is a very dry island, which is the reason why our ancestors started with the cisterns. We build the cisterns to ensure that we have water during those dry seasons. So water shortage and drought is our number 2 hazard.
Thank God we have a desal plant in the water corporation, because people don't understand that water shortage in Anguilla means that our aquifer get low as well, because we don't really get rain here. I keep telling Clemview, and I'm going to call him out now, Clemview, you need to go pick the salt. The old people say unless you pick the salt, it doesn't rain. I bet you as soon as they pick the salt, it's going to rain.
And it amazes me how so many people refer to the old people say, but when the old people were talking, they didn't listen to
I was
them.
listening.
Because they had a lot of wisdom.
They had a lot of wisdom.
The mere fact that Hurricane Donna for us was our watershed. Our home started to be constructed differently after 1960 and Hurricane Donna. And incidentally, she still holds the record for being the strongest, longest running hurricane in history.
Let's not talk about Donna.
Okay.
Thanks.
We learned lessons from Donna.
I understand. I appreciate the lessons.
And we have to learn lessons from every hazard that we face. We should.
So, Susan, I'm honestly feeling a little bit uncomfortable with all this hurricane talk. I'm not even joking.
But we're talking about water shortage
Oh, yeah,
and
let's get back to water.
But then, number 3
is what?
Tsunami.
Father in heaven.
That is a real risk to us. Because of the North American and the Caribbean plates, tectonic plates constantly moving, the earthquakes. A tsunami is normally caused by an earthquake. And basically a tsunami is a sudden influx of water. You know, like you have a bowl of water and you drop a rock in it and then the water splashes out. That's basically what a tsunami is. Something has adjusted the water levels and that's how it affects us.
So I have a question.
I'm getting silent now. She's making me uncomfortable.
Don't be uncomfortable because we have a thing. Remember your 3 B's: be aware, be informed, be prepared. So once you are aware of them and you know what they are, you can prepare for them.
Okay.
So I have a question. We know that tsunamis usually follow earthquakes.
Normally, yes.
Normally.
Oh boy.
Can you get a tsunami without an earthquake?
Yes.
Oh.
Is that why tsunami is higher on the list than an earthquake? I'm just wondering how we got to the point because I've heard hurricanes, water shortage,
Okay,
tsunami.
All right.
But I haven't heard earthquake as yet.
Because an earthquake
I
happens
say
someplace.
yes, assuming that it's there.
Yeah.
No, what it is, the top hazard, it's not just about what the hazard is. It's how it would impact the country and the frequency of it impacting the country.
Okay.
You know, we haven't had tsunamis for a long time, but we have hurricanes every year. We have earthquakes. As I said, this was done in 2015. It may change slightly when we redo it, but yeah.
But also tsunami and earthquake can happen in
Anytime.
anywhere.
There's no season.
And the tsunami could come.
Okay.
Exactly, because there are 3 different types of tsunami. You can have a local tsunami where it happens close by, a regional tsunami where it happens somewhere else in our region, and then a tele-tsunami, which Anguilla was affected by a tele-tsunami that traveled from Lisbon, Portugal, all the way across the Atlantic Ocean
the waves
in the
are
70s.
yeah. So let's talk about that, because ever so often as of late, and this is going into the little fishing community now, you notice last couple of years there's been like heightened wave activity and stuff with certain times of the year. Like it's been getting really, really big and really, really bad.
Okay, let me tell you.
All right,
A tsunami is a harbor wave. It's taken from a Japanese word meaning harbor wave.
Okay.
And a tsunami wave is not dangerous when it's out to sea. It's only when it comes into land and the concentration makes it more dangerous.
Okay.
That's the reason.
I have a question. I watch TV, I watch movies, and when you see tsunamis, you tend to see the water roll all the way back. Is that real? Is it just for the
Yes, it
movies,
does.
or
No.
is that real?
That's one of the effects of a tsunami. Yes, you can see the water recede because that's what we see. Anguilla was one of the first English-speaking Caribbean countries to be named tsunami ready, which again is a U.S.
Flat angular tsunami ready?
Yes, because tsunami ready means that the basis of your population know what to do in the event of a tsunami, that you have a 24/7 warning system that no matter what time
Hold on.
it will
We're
be
advanced?
affected.
We have a 24/7 warning system?
Yes, we do.
I did not know
What is
that.
it?
Have you? So do you mean you haven't downloaded it from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store?
No. What is this
I
stuff?
know what it is. I want the people to know what it is.
Ivan,
Or
do
maybe
you know what it is?
Nope.
I know.
Capit.
Yes.
Capit?
Capit is our
I thought that was a fella that used to drum.
Capit.
Capit.
Consistently alerting people in time.
Oh, that's hot. That's dope. What can Capit
And-
be used for?
For everything. Any kind of emergency
What
in
is
Anguilla.
it used for?
What is it used for?
It is used for anything that can impact Anguilla. Missing
Can I have
persons.
access to
anything
Capit?
like that. Yes, you can. You can go on the Google Play Store.
No, I mean access, like administering access. Like I could send out stuff through Capit.
No,
Like that sounds like an excellent marketing tool, and that's what I'm about.
But it's not a marketing tool.
So
It's
you're
a
trying to tell
warning
me
system.
it's a warning system. So
Yes.
people, it's not a marketing tool. So don't get upset when you hear Capit send you a message.
No, you should definitely listen.
If Capit call you, run.
And you go to the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, cap.cap, and you select Anguilla and you download it and to your phone and
How
whenever.
often do you get messages on Capit?
Every Tuesday at 10 o'clock is the radio interrupt and you would get an email. And then at the end of every month they send you a message just to say that it's a test to make sure that it's working.
So Capit does when we get them tremors, Capit gonna send you, oops, it was shaking.
No,
Because there's no threat.
There's no threat.
it's only when it's a threat. Otherwise you'll become so used to getting these messages you're not going to think anything. But like in the US when you're watching the TV and this is a test, a test of the emergency alert system. That's what
what it is.
Okay, people go download Capit. Like everybody should have Capit on their phone.
Cap.cap.
Cap.cap. I'm gonna put it on my kid's phone.
Yes, you should.
Yeah. So
And your phone.
yeah, I got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, obviously on my phone. So messages. Tell me a little bit more about this app. So Anguilla is hit by Hurricane Irma. Capit was there then.
Yes, it was, and messages went out.
That's dope. Like we had
You know what? Do you know when we launched our Facebook page, the department, the 1st of September, 2017,
Yeah, I kind of remember.
and what happened?
Just
The
something we
6th.
don't want to remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we were able to
Yeah.
keep abreast, people around the world to keep abreast of Anguilla.
So we're back there now. Thank God, and I'm speaking things that are not as though they were, and I'm speaking the right energy into the atmosphere, and I'm thanking God that we'll be spared this year again. I believe
Definitely.
life and death is in your tongue, and I am putting that out there. But in the event, how ready is disaster management?
Disaster management, we are ready. Is the country ready? And what we are trying to do is make sure, what we're doing here is helping people to get ready. If you listen to Radio Anguilla and the other radio stations, you're going to hear tips at least once, twice, 3 times a day. You're going to hear a hurricane preparedness tip, telling you what to do, how to do it, those kind of things.
Are those-
and our Facebook page, I'm sorry.
Are those posts on your Facebook page cross-shared to government, other radio station pages that you have relationships with? So I believe, and you could tell.
This is Ivan doing his marketing bit.
I believe if you are advertising with a radio in this day and age, you're doing any business with any entity, you should have the social media component built into that. So if you have ads on Radio Anguilla
It's
should
not an ad, it's a public service announcement.
public service announcement, ad communication, whatever you're doing with a radio station, they should use their social media platform for that as well.
And they do. Radio
Okay.
Anguilla for sure. I'm not sure about the other.
The others don't?
I am not sure.
So me, you
but
don't talk to them.
But what I can tell you too is that the warning system has something called a radio interrupt. So if Radio Anguilla or what are the other stations?
We have
Any of the
being
other
the cool
stations,
class.
right? If any of
NPR.
those are playing, that the warning system would interrupt the broadcast and give out the warning.
This can't get in the wrong hands. I'm seeing some James Bond, Born
Yeah.
Identity, Top Gun type stuff.
Ivan, how have you derailed this conversation?
I don't know how I am. This is cool though. So Anguilla is really advanced.
Yeah, we are.
You should be proud.
We had it since the late 2000s.
But I did not know this. And if Ivan doesn't know this, then there's something wrong.
Ivan has learned
Sorry.
something new today.
Ivan has learned something new today.
That's wonderful.
Great.
So
I'm very
what
good.
else is on this list?
Number 4 is marine incidents.
Oh, Father Savior.
So we know we have the ferries that go backwards and forwards. Fishermen go out all the time. We have ships in our waters. So marine incidents is number 4. We then have number 5 is earthquake.
Yeah, let's get past that.
Okay.
I think we've covered it.
Yeah, I just like literally just felt a shake when you say it again, and I don't know if we in the middle of this taping, because this is unedited, unfiltered. If this place starts
Really,
to
you're not
shake-
going to take out my coughing?
No, we're not gonna
I'm
take it out.
recovering from bronchitis, by the way.
It's
So
fine.
that's the reason
It's
why.
fine. Listen here, I've been coughing for the last year and a half. It's okay. If this place started to shake, I don't know who's gonna get out first. Me, you,
me. I'll
Because Susan is
prepared.
No, actually, I'm going to stand in the doorway so the two of you can't get out, because that's
Why?
where you should stand if there's an earthquake.
I have a question about that.
And people have said that you're going to get crushed or whatever, but normally
The more steel and stuff.
there's more steel and concrete in the doorway.
So that's kind of where my question was going to go. With the way that we build, and we build for hurricanes because that is number 1. Is it that our structures are built for hurricanes but not necessarily earthquakes?
I'm not a structural engineer, so I don't want to answer that question. But the amount of steel that we have in our home should help us.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it does a bit. What I am concerned about is we have limestone
As our base, yes.
as our base.
And we know we have another underlying volcanic base as well.
I did not know that. Stop
Yeah.
harassing me.
Sorry.
Now you got me thinking all kind of things. But limestone is very
Porous.
porous.
I know.
So was
And I have, when all those sinkholes were appearing in Florida,
I thought we'd get some.
and I was like, and I heard lots of talk around the place. I thought, do Anguillians realize that we have the same base as Florida?
That's what they're not talking about. That's my concern.
So it's the possibility. We've never, as far as I know, we have never invested in a proper geological survey of Anguilla to know where all the caves are.
How much will that cost?
I have no idea.
We just tend to get stuff done on this show, so you need to tell people we need a proper geological
I will
survey
have to
done.
talk to a colleague of mine, Professor Joyce from the University of Puerto Rico, who actually came here and did some. That's how I know that we have a volcanic base under our limestone, because he came here and he did a trip with some of his students and they looked at our rock base.
That's dope.
But it's but we know that we have caves in Anguilla because
Of course. We
We
explore
have
them.
caves?
yeah,
Come on, Ivan.
The people don't know.
of course they do.
You'd
We
be
know
surprised.
Goat Cave.
Where's
we
Goat
know.
Oh, I know Goat Cave too well.
Where's Gold Cave?
Goat Cave is
I can't even tell you how to get there, but it's
I
nice.
can tell you how to get there. I channeled my inner goat getting to Goat Cave.
What in the... what are you talking about?
I did as well. It for me. It
So you have to go down on all fours?
No.
You can't.
You have to, like how the goats go nice and skip across the sea rocks? I did some of that.
Wow.
I am glad it's wiped off my bucket list now.
I was about to say, it is a once in a lifetime trip for me.
For me too.
Personally, I know people who are there every week. Not I. But it is so incredible to see the natural beauty that exists within this country.
Really and
so,
truly.
So
It's
a
amazing.
lot of that happened during the pandemic when people couldn't go anywhere. Everybody was hiking a weekend, a weekday and stuff. And I was like, listen, they didn't know what they're doing. And if you're paying attention, a few businesses well developed, and that kind of transformed our tourism product a bit. You got Quest, you got Neil, the explorer doing his thing. And
AXA Hike.
AXA Hike.
Like,
and you got
that's who I went with.
Yeah, AXA Hike Life or something.
Yeah, that's-
like
So that stuff is cool, and then for me, those things translate even into our health as
Definitely.
a country. I'm happy for those.
Because
things.
I did it with my gym.
You did it with, your
With my gym class. So yeah.
That's cool. So I want us to continue doing those things. I don't think we should wait for a pandemic or epidemic
Right. To see the beauty.
to see the beauty. Is that on the list?
What?
Pandemics and
Actually, yes, that's number 7.
That's fantastic.
So I think we did 5. We skipped 1.
What
flooding.
was flooding?
That's rainfall induced, not hurricane rainfall. That's just proper rainfall. Remember 2011 when we had that flood?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a flood in 2011.
Flood. Yeah, there was a lot of
Wait.
rainfall.
I'm
Were
not
you
even-
living in Anguilla?
I'm not even being facetious. Like, I came back in 2010. What happened in 2011? I don't remember.
November 2011, we had a bad flood.
The last flood I remember was Lenny.
So where were you?
I don't know.
Yeah,
It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as Lenny. in
No.
terms of flood,
It wasn't
but
as bad, but it was bad. It was bad. And we've had a couple of floods. We have flash flood warnings every now and then. If you listen to the
don't.
department,
I don't pay attention to flash flood warnings because
why?
I haven't seen them. And I'm being honest, and I know there are people out there that don't even pay attention to those things. But you're telling me now that if we get a lot of people don't realize, right? And you're right, we can flood because of our, the nature and makeup of our soil. So it's so clay. When it rains a little bit, it hardens. All this hot sun we have then hardens some more. If we get a torrential downpour, we will flash flood. So
And that
you're
is
right.
the reason why Anguilla flooded for Lenny, because we
because
had
we had
Jose just
just
before.
before.
That had saturated the earth. And when Lenny came and dumped all that water, it flooded.
Can we have like a drain pipe someplace
I think we do.
We do.
Yeah.
In some areas.
in some areas?
Yeah.
Okay,
It just
government,
takes
you need to go.
longer to
You,
get out.
you need to go out and make sure those drains are clean. We're gonna get some rain soon. Cause Clem, you're going to pick the salt.
So after flooding,
Stop
we
making me laugh.
go back to
Pandemics or epidemics?
Epidemics, yeah. That's number 7. That was always number 7.
Okay.
I can remember a couple of years ago when we had the swine flu that was going around. We did a
You
plan.
had cases?
We had, when swine flu was going around, we did some plans.
She didn't answer my question.
Then number 8 is fire or
She
explosion.
just skipped over my question.
lead.
Fire what?
So Susan, I know you're skipping past endemics because yes, we are pandemic and endemic.
Epidemic.
Epidemic.
And the epidemic is localized,
localized.
and a pandemic is worldwide.
So we are epi, everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We out of.
All endemic then.
And we all know so much about PCR tests and all the things that are needed to take. So, yeah.
So I have a story.
Here we go.
This was during one of those things, the pandemic. Don't even want to speak about it anymore. I had reason to visit the Department of Disaster Management, and I paid Susan a visit. I don't even know if Susan remembers this.
I don't.
You see? But
And you
in
been
her
about 2011.
office, this very list was there, and stared at me. She's like, "Oh, some people didn't think it was there, but we know it was a hazard." And yes, so
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a real hazard.
yeah. So I don't think it.
And it's a communicable disease. So it's epidemic, pandemic, caused by a communicable disease. And it could be a respiratory disease, it could be something else, but it can be a
So
communicable
this
disease.
I keep telling people that government doesn't operate in silos.
No.
Like people, like you're telling me that disaster management has a response mechanism, protocols for epidemics,
Along with the Ministry of Health.
but they would believe that the Ministry of Health was just doing what they want and being haphazard. I do not.
No,
get
they were not doing what they want. There
But
was a
people
plan
need
in
to
place.
listen. There's a plan in place.
Yes. For all of these hazards that I'm talking to you about, we have plans in place.
People, we have plans.
They may be in
place.
draft, they may never have been tested because they hadn't happened, but we have plans in place. We have thought about these things.
So we get a flood tomorrow, God forbid. You guys would have some water trucks come with the hoses and pump the water.
We would
up there.
respond.
We would respond. She's giving you nothing. All right, so there's a plan. We have a plan.
Yes.
Okay.
So next we have
Fire or explosion. So you know that's a real possibility as well. So that's on our plan. Coastal flooding, and I want to let you know that although these are all the hazards that we face, the Department of Disaster Management may not be the lead agency. There will be other agencies that will take the lead, but we will always be there. If the EOC is activated, we are the base staff in the National Emergency Operations Center. So, for instance, with the pandemic, health would have taken the lead and we would have supported them. If it's a fire or explosion, obviously, the fire department would take the lead and we'll be there to support them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanna just pick on something you said, because I know we started by speaking about the NEOC.
Mm-hmm.
The NEOC, Ivan, is only open and operational.
When we need to.
So it's not open all the time.
No.
It is only activated when there is.
When there is
And
a
how is it staffed up, man, when needed?
Well, it is what we do. There is a system set up. We have a plan in place. There is a mechanism in place, and it's staffed by the people who need to be in there for whatever particular hazard it is.
I'll pass.
And as I said, the Department of Disaster Management staff, we are the base. We're the staple.
Is the clergy part of this?
The clergy,
Yeah.
in terms of response,
Yeah, well, somebody needs to pray with a pastor in the middle of a crisis.
would not necessarily be needed in the EOC, but they are part of our preparedness.
Yes.
They're part of the National Disaster Management Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during hurricane season, I remember Anglican government and everybody used to come out and do these drills. I haven't seen any drills.
You haven't?
No.
When last were you here last year? When they had that huge drill where they did all of the shuttering, they did the fleet management, they came out, they used it to trim some of the trees. It was a huge exercise in the valley area.
So you must know that I'm a full-time bus driver. I have a kid in Campus B and one in West End, so I kind of just spend time driving on the road.
Okay, I remember those days too.
Yes, I don't see much. I probably missed that entire thing.
Right.
But you couldn't miss it. It was right in the center of the valley.
You don't know me how I does avoid traffic.
Okay.
Yeah. If I see the traffic like 5 cars in front of me, gone the next way.
Oh, and I just want to say, let me go back to tsunami. If your children tell you anything about a tsunami,
Believe them.
believe them.
Why?
Because we have gone for the past 12 years. Any child who's been in primary school in the past 12 years knows how to handle a tsunami.
So, Susan, you must know that I have some comedians for children. And the last thing they told
They're
me...
going to tell you.
No, but the last thing they told me about a tsunami was when I dive in the water. I don't think they were being serious.
But trust me,
maybe-
Ivan, they know exactly where the closest tsunami point is to their school. At the very least, they know where the closest one is to their school.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I'll have to hitch a ride.
I'll have to come back and tell you all of the things that we do, because we do so much, and I don't think
We
people
didn't
really.
had to invite her back. You see that? Everybody loves Progress Report.
I like that.
I like getting the message out to a lot of people.
All right. Cool. So what else is on the list?
Coastal flooding, storm surge, or ground sea.
We get ground sea so often.
Exactly.
But what's the
Exactly.
problem with a ground sea?
What do you mean? What's the problem? How
And
many
that's when
times?
the lobsters come up, because the lobster catches better.
But
after
can
that.
we travel to St. Martin?
We
Can
do.
the ferries go? No, but should we?
If it's bad enough.
If it's bad, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, should people go in the sea
But
if
what's
there's
ground
a
sea?
ground sea? I know the term.
You know the term. So what happens during ground sea?
I would have to talk to fisheries and the marine.
Because all in the
police.
sea is the water turn white, and the vessels just bob up and down.
Well, there's an undercurrent.
There's an undercurrent.
There's an undercurrent that could,
Okay.
if you go swimming, that could drag you out.
I just tell them about that here because you'll go missing quick, fast, in a hurry. And then I know during ground sea as well, you know, vessels can't stay
Still.
still. So docking becomes a problem. You remember a
Storm
couple...
surge is something that happens after hurricanes as well.
Storm surge just happened here. We don't call it that. You remember a couple times last year before, when the waves were...
We don't call it that.
No, because they just say the sea rough. That's how they say. You remember? No, for real. They just say the sea
high.
rough. The sea high.
sea
Yeah,
high.
it's storm surge. You're laughing at me. But that's what they say. You remember like a couple years back, like the storm surge was so bad at Blowing Point, like they couldn't operate the boats. Mm-hmm. That's storm surge, people. See, you know something.
See, but
See,
we didn't say storm, so the sea high.
The sea high.
Don't go there today. The
The sea high. The sea rough. So that's storm surge.
Yeah.
And that can be affected by cold fronts in the area. Storms, passing
Storm
storms.
surge is normally as a result of hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, No
That's
hurricane.
true because a couple times when they pass to the north and stuff, we get
Right,
storms
so
on
it's the
that.
coastal flooding or the ground sea that we're talking about with the high seas. But storm surge is as a result of a hurricane.
And you're saying that we have plans in place for all these things.
Yeah, we do.
What's missing on your list?
In terms of...
That we
That
haven't
touched.
heard yet.
Okay, landslides or slope failures.
What landslide?
I know you were going to say that. Anguilla is flat, but our highest point is 213
You know,
feet
so let me
above
give you-
sea
let me-
level.
That's just outside of here,
That's
right?
just outside there. Listen here.
Oh, yeah.
So
I forgot where I was.
I am tired being laughed at. So every time I have friends visit or whatever the case may be, they be like, "But Angola flat." I was like, the highest point is 213 feet. They said 213 what? I said, listen here, I'm gonna take you there. You're not gonna even feel it. So we come to the back road, and then I was like, here we are. And everybody laughs at me once you get around here to Crocus Hill. Mm-hmm. But we are really, really flat. So where would landslides come from?
Well, wherever there's a rising.
What raisins? We only have
Well, 213 feet. You have sandy ground, North Hill, that
Yeah.
area. Where Mariners used to be.
You're right,
After
actually.
Lewis, there was some slides.
I
So
stand
there are-
corrected. We have some.
Exactly.
We have some slides.
Exactly.
That's good. Okay. What else?
And then we have extreme heat.
Oh, I want to know. What are the plans?
Eat the heat, Carly eat. That's all I can hear when I'm
Right
eating water.
now.
Beat
Stay
the heat, Carl Elite.
hydrated.
Stay hydrated?
Stay cool.
I thought you're
If you
supposed to
feel-
call Elite. That's all the marketing I remember. Beat the heat.
Elite?
Call Elite. Elite engineering to get AC. That's all I remember. I don't even remember the
Free
drink
marketing,
water.
huh? But
No,
yes,
but
I
that's
will,
why-
I will drink water.
You drink water?
Mind my business.
Yes.
But when I hear heat, that's all I hear.
Stay cool.
Stay cool.
Stay cool as far as you can, yeah.
How do we stay cool in Anguilla? Not enough buildings AC. Do we go to the beach?
Yes, you can. Whatever mechanism you use to cool down, make sure that you're in front of a fan. Go outside. Go to the beach. Yeah, put the ice in front of the fan so it blows cold air.
She knows I was gonna ask. Because I've been in situations here and the fan blowing hot air.
Yes, I have those kind of
I'm
situations
like,
too.
come on, man. What in the devil toenails is going on?
Right.
Yep.
So the plan for heat, the steps.
Just stay.
We should be publishing that stuff now because we've had some hot days.
Yeah, that is very true, and we probably will do some.
All right, I'm gonna
some
look
of
out for
those
that and
things.
I'll share that definitely.
Yeah.
So we just don't say beat the heat and call Elite because that's all I know. Every time it had
Who is
Jason,
Elite, though?
Jason Ruan, Elite Engineering. He sells ACs. Every time the temperature goes
Is
above
this
80.
a free ad in using
I-
disaster management?
No,
Sounds like that.
Literally every time it gets above 89 degrees, Jason is like hot bread. He's like right there. You can't go nowhere. So I'm just saying that's my sticker.
Yeah, then what are we doing when you put in an air conditioning unit? Are you using a solar panel to run it?
I don't know. We digress.
Anyway, aviation
Maybe not
accidents is
so
next.
far, but
Not
we'll
so
see.
far.
Aviation accidents is next,
Ah,
and that's anything that's on the airport or anywhere.
right,
So then you have mass casualty.
right. Boat accidents, we've covered that already.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's higher up.
And mass casualty. Tell me what you think Anguilla's mass casualty number is.
I was about to say, I think Ivan put something on the list that wasn't there. What did you say just now? That road accidents we've covered?
No, boat.
Oh, boat.
But we haven't covered road.
Because
No,
that's
but
okay.
road accidents would be covered in a mass casualty.
Right, no, so that's, I was just making sure that I heard. I didn't hear road because that's what I was thinking for mass casualties would be road accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot.
So, Ivan, you are right. Misusing the roundabout.
I was right.
This.
I knew it.
But how many people were injured?
No, I'm just
No,
saying
but the
that.
potential, the hazard is there. Because
Yeah.
I see it too often.
Listen, they're going around the wrong side too. We need to have the Minister of Infrastructure come
You need.
back.
Let me stop.
No,
I'm not here for that.
you are here to talk about hazards.
And that's a
that is a hazard.
The lights. There are lights needed in the night for sure on the new road.
Oh, he spoke about that today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't have-
the lights have been sourced. I think they're just waiting on the pole, so they have solar lights that they're installing.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because we have all this free energy and we're not using it. But anyway, the next one is security threat. No, I asked you a question. What do you think constitutes a mass casualty in Anguilla?
Oh, a 2 or 3 car pileup.
Concerning how many people?
4.
Oh, because
2.
See, I know a little bit about this. It has to do with the number of beds that's in the emergency room, right? No, the operating room.
Yes.
And we only have 1 operating room. Is there
We
a 2?
We have 2.
Oh, okay. See,
We could probably go a little bit more, but two persons would, in an accident that need major surgery, would constitute a mass casualty.
That's why we have so many people flying out.
No.
that's
not the reason.
That's lack of
This
other
is
resources.
this is at one point in time. If you have a 4-car pileup, that would be deemed a mass casualty. If there is a marine incident that happens and it concerns more than 2 or 3 people, any kind of shooting, any mass shooting, anything like that, a lot of people.
And we've had one of those some time back where
Yeah.
One of those we've had many
mass
think.
shootings. Okay.
So I have always said this, and people, I just pray against it for the most part, right? I am extremely concerned that our Juve ends at Sandy Ground. You want to know why?
Tell
One
me.
way in, one way out.
Not just one way in, one way out. If any of those trucks lose their brakes on the hill, we ain't talking mass casualty.
Yeah, you are.
We talking mass casualty, not the MAS carnival mass. Because they're in the middle of the road, in front of the truck, behind the truck, to the side of the truck. And, you know, there's a lot of faith that we exercise in doing these things, and of course I appreciate that, but I always look at that.
And we have looked at that too.
So how do we separate them?
How do you mean? How do you separate them?
Like, I don't think people should be to the front of the trucks,
Okay.
but you can't tell them how to jam. And that's a problem.
So how do
So how do you mitigate against something like that?
We have a plan.
I like this.
We have a plan.
We don't have to tell you the
No.
plan. You just need to know that we have a plan.
There is a plan.
And ain't
There is a
nobody gonna
plan
throw
because
big
we
rock
have
by
we
the
have
time.
looked. I remember when we were doing our mass casualty training. The same scenario that you just gave was part of the exercise, and we had to come up with a plan to mitigate against it, and we did.
Okay, cool.
So
I
there's-
feel better now.
So there's a plan.
So Juve for me.
Okay.
Don't stand the ground.
And then the last 2, security threats, and that's threats to our border, terrorism, sabotage, and civil disorder, riots or public conversions. That are 14 and 15.
I ain't touching that one.
You may not.
And she said,
You want to?
We cannot ignore the elephant in the room. We started, and I have always been the person that I'll go there.
she'll go there.
I'll go
Okay.
there. We started by acknowledging that we missed our GST panel because there are a series of discussions and meetings and everything that's going on between the government and the business community. We know that. We're not going to pretend like it's not happening. We have heard and seen communications that we could possibly be on the brink of. Susan, you moved the paper. But
sorry.
civil disorder. And when I
You
say
think so?
how do you prepare, and not just from a Department of Disaster Management standpoint, how does the public prepare for what could possibly be a case of whether it's riots, whether it is, and I know this says riots and public convergence, but riots can also be in the form of strikes and close downs and we're not covering that. We don't consider.
A strike is different to a riot. A riot is just a bunch of people coming together and making a lot of noise and trying to do something. A strike is something that is planned and organized to a
Okay.
certain extent. But a strike, a riot can come out of a strike.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
So you look at it from that level. And
Yeah,
you
from
have a
the
plan.
escalated level, and not
But that would
necessarily
be police taking the lead on something like that, not disaster management. We'd purely be supportive
Okay.
in whatever they needed.
right.
So you're gonna be in there, right? And you're gonna be supportive.
I'll be in the EOC or I'll be home.
Okay.
Because if anything like that is happening, do not do what normal Anguillians do.
Which is,
Go look, go
Go
see.
look and see and take a video. Stay home.
man, you know, you got a problem. You know, back in the day, people used to follow the ambulance. No, for real, people used to like pull off and be the first one to pull off and follow the ambulance. We've done some really strange things. I have to say
I don't understand. Why would you want...
I don't know. We always want to know. People would follow the ambulance and follow the fire truck, full speed, and there's an emergency going on.
But I am laughing
then-
because I know persons who've done it.
They're still doing it.
But then why would they do that?
I have no idea.
Because what they're doing is basically stopping those other emergency vehicles from getting through if they're needed.
That's true. Didn't look at it that way, but that's true. But come on, man, like they do that stuff, and I'm like, I don't think that makes sense.
It doesn't make sense. If I see anything, I'm going in the opposite direction. I am not going towards
Listen,
it.
I pull off, I turn around, I enjoy it.
Exactly. And then I'll hear about it later anyway, so...
You can probably hear about it on your way back up because somebody gonna be there. And you know that's
I'm a very careful driver. I do not answer my telephone while I'm driving.
oh
Oh,
that's,
so
that's
Susan won't know until she reaches.
Susan is not Ivan.
Ivan, you need to stop.
I need to stop. I've been pulling off lately and sending messages when I do.
Okay.
Like I actually.
Well, you
stop.
pulled off the road.
Yeah, pulled
Okay,
off.
well, that's fine.
Unless there's nobody behind me, then I just stop in the middle of the road. I'm just kidding. Royal Anguilla Police Force. I pull off the road now to send my messages, and that's actually important to do.
Say it now.
Gleneva turned her head, but people do it. You know where they do it? At the stoplights, and they just sit there.
Until I have to. Susan, this has been excellent.
I think so.
We have-
I just want to say before I go, though, that this year is an elevated hurricane season.
Susan.
I'm just no. It doesn't make sense to bury your head in the sand.
I think we understand
you
that.
you need to understand that we normally get maybe 10, 12. We're looking at 14, 15. The hurricane days are long. Let's hope they all go out to sea. Because last
Yeah,
year,
we'll go to sea.
they went out to sea for us.
Listen, right now we have 2 possible threats that we're watching.
No, we have one possible.
Well, I have family down in Barbados.
And it's not even possible because it's 5 days out and so much can happen in 5 days.
That is true.
So-
that is true.
So what, we have 2 possible systems out there. Not
No, there are
necessarily-
2 systems
Oh, there
out
are
there.
2 systems. Okay.
There are 2 systems out there.
Okay.
Some are conducive, and both of them are conducive to development. If everything stays the same, it might not. Because I see people sharing a lot of information, and you're getting information, but how do you decipher the information? There was an earthquake. Oh my God, it was a 5.2. But what does a 5.2 earthquake really mean?
It means that it's smarter than a 4.0.
How deep was it?
Exactly.
How far away? So you have to look at it from that point of
I
view.
think
as well.
literally
I mean,
everybody-
it's good that people share the information,
Uh-huh.
but don't. How can I put it? Use it with caution.
I literally do that. Because when people say, I wonder how strong it was, what do you know about deciphering the strength of the earthquake? What did that tell you?
You know what you're making me do? Think that I need to post on Facebook the Saffir-Simpson scale
Yes. And what the expectation are if something like that happens
for
at that level.
earthquakes and for hurricanes. So
No,
the scales.
that is true. That needs to come up because people be like, oh, I want to know. What do you mean you want to know how strong it was? You don't know what that means. And I'm not even being facetious or trying to call anybody down. You want to brag and say we experienced a 5.2? No, it was registered over there at 5.2. What did you feel here? Because I'm sure the shaking at the epicenter of this thing was totally different than what it was that we felt, similar to how an earthquake works. You within the eye wall, and you pass through that, you're gonna feel something different. If you're on the outskirts, you're gonna feel something different.
Yeah, that's
so
very true.
don't measure it and say, yeah, we can handle that. And that's why I'm going back at the beginning, because that's a lot of people outlook right now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna pass now, we don't need to do nothing.
But that's what they told
And
us
then-
for Irma.
Okay, and then
Oh,
they
you have
shift.
no idea.
So you see where I was
how
going now.
It was It was awful for us as a department when we were trying to tell people to prepare, and they were just saying, "Oh, it's going to go this way, it's going to go that way."
They should,
We don't know where it's going to go because it's nature.
Exactly. They should ask the VA because they got Irma and Maria Bam Bam.
But I can tell you that when I have a colleague I have all. Disaster management is a small community.
Okay.
So when Irma passed us, a friend of mine in BVI called me. How are you guys doing? I said, whatever you do, get prepared. Just buckle down. Just she's not playing. Just make sure that you guys are safe, you know? That's what I couldn't tell her anything different. You know, so...
We got what are those 3 B's again?
Be aware.
Be aware.
Be informed.
Be informed.
Be prepared.
So how do you ensure that you're aware?
Well, what we're doing right now, we have we do the top 15 hazards. We publish them wherever we can. We let people know what they are. So that's the awareness. Be informed. You get to know what is a hurricane? How does it form? Where does it come from? Because most of the time in the past, we've seen hurricanes start off the coast of Africa and travel across. So, you know, you could say, okay, well, I can start to get ready now because I've got time. But for the past couple of seasons, you've seen hurricanes just start up outside the islands. So you don't have that time. That's why I would always urge everybody, have your emergency supplies kit. Make sure that it's in a waterproof container with a padlock. It's your food, so that you can use it, and you don't have to go out and do a big shopping and put it in there. At the beginning of the year, every time you go shopping, you pick up an extra tin of something and you put it in there, and it's your food, what you want. Make sure it's non-perishable, and make sure the date can last you through at least 2 seasons.
There are these buckets on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, they're cool. They're actually cool. They're like these meal buckets, literally a bucket that has all this stuff in it. You don't even have to do it yourself. No, you can spend $140 and you have your kit.
And that same $140 can get you so much more in Anguilla before.
By the time you pay shipping and everything else, you get it.
But I like my bucket. Why are you guys rating on my bucket?
But you can buy a bucket here and pack it.
You are right. You are so correct. I didn't look at it that way. I hope it's a red and white bucket like that one, because I think that...
But you can paint it.
Man, why do you guys do this to me? Okay, so I'm informed, I'm aware, and what else? I need
Be prepared.
To be prepared.
So once you know how to prepare. You need to make sure that your home is secure. You don't leave it open. You don't have the little holes, the little part of the the roof that is hanging over. You try and get that secured. You clear drains. You make sure that you have something to cover your cistern mouth so that the water is not going to get in there. You just make sure that you're prepared. You get all of those things in place. You put it in one, you know, like your emergency supplies kit. When I tell people, you can't build, well, most of us can't build a Category 5 home. But we can at least try and build one room in our home.
Which
that
room is usually the
5.
safest in a hurricane?
What I can tell you, when we got the calls up in the EOC for persons whose homes were failing, I told them to get in the bathroom and get the mattress of wherever and cover themselves with that.
Wow. Okay, there you did it. You took me back.
I'm sorry. I went back to because because people think that, you know, you're working in the EOC, you're not going to get impacted. It was not easy for us. So my vehicle, my home, my colleagues, our vehicles, you know, our homes were destroyed as well. And then we still had to be there working and trying to prepare for everybody else.
Yeah,
So
it's a challenge.
It is.
Ladies and gentlemen listening, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Progress Report. I made light of it at the start, simply because I know it's a touchy topic. I know a few shows back when we talked about the PTSD from the storm, I made mention if there's a storm coming, I think I'm going to literally have to fly my daughter out. She just blocked her ears for the entire Irma, and for months, probably years after, anytime it would get bank up to rain and thunder, she'd cry.
But I just want to say, sorry to interrupt you, the ending, but we have something now called ASSIST, which is the Anguilla Crisis Intervention Support Team, which is part of the EOC to help persons who in those kind of situations.
All right, we have the resources. That's what this show has been about. we have the resources, we have the personnel, we have the department and the instruments that would ensure that we're prepared.
We're just part of a mechanism.
Ooh.
We are one part of a huge mechanism.
We are
that works
one
together.
part of a huge mechanism that would ensure that we're prepared
Yeah.
to manage these hazards that we are susceptible to. And these hazards range from earthquakes to storm surge to epidemics to hurricanes to mass casualties to
Everything else in between.
everything
Yeah.
else in between. But we have means to be prepared, and we want you to explore that. You can follow the Department of Disaster Management on
page.
Facebook.
Yes.
Does
Where else?
NEOC?
NEOC.
My Spanish is bad. Does NEOC have a specific Facebook page?
No, it doesn't.
And that's under the disaster management.
Anything that you
I applaud
get.
you for that. People just create all these pages and yeah.
We're actually revamping our website as well, the department.
Lovely.
So a lot of the things that we have that we give out to people, you'll be able to download from the website.
Speaking of download,
Cap
Cap
it.
it.
Yes.
Cap.
Cap.cap. Cap.cap, download the app. Stay connected, stay
Definitely.
informed,
Be prepared.
be prepared. This has been
Another episode of Progress Report. It was lovely being here with you, Susan. Thank you so much for joining us,
Most
and
welcome.
we look forward to having you again sometime soon.
yes.
Thank you.
Very soon.
Thank you.
All right.